Good evening to all. Hope my voice is audible and I share the screen also. Everyone please confirm. Okay, good evening to all. We'll start the session. Before coming to the today's session, what we mainly discussed in the last two session? In the last two session, our topic is mainly creating a user. First of all, what is the meaning of creating user? Right now we are under MySQL server, that is under root user. It has all the permissions. Suppose if you want to restrict permissions to different users, in that way you are creating a user to only these privileges with only limited set of privileges. So for assigning privileges, we are using grant discussed creation of a user. After the user creation, anyway by default the user have all the permissions, and if you want you can restrict those permissions. I explained different ways of giving permissions: star dot star, database dot star, table dot star, table dot column, like that. Okay, so user. Okay, now in this session we are moving to the topic of revoke. Revoke. What is a grant? Grant is used for given privileges to the users. Exactly. Revoke is simply whatever the permissions you given, you can retrieve the permissions back. You can take the permissions back from the user. Okay, so the purpose of revoke is simply same syntax what you are using for grant. Instead of grant we are using the command revoke. Instead of grant we are using the command revoke. Okay, anyway I will explain. See, command revoke followed by previously grant followed by the permissions level. So privilege name, whatever the privileges you want to retrieve on on object in the sense either a database or a table or a column from which you are trying to take the permission from username, from which user you want to retrieve the permission, from which user you want to retrieve the permission. Anyway, within two I will explain this one once again. Privilege, what are the different privileges you have? Global, what are the different privileges you have? Global means all, that is all the databases in the SQL. So what happens if you are using these global privileges with revoke? It will remove all the permissions from the user on the MySQL server. So how do you write that one? Revoke, revoke all, comma, revoke all. In the grant we are writing star dot star. Here you can write grant option also if you want. Anyway, if you don't, if sir I am using the same syntax, okay, use the same syntax instead of doing any confusion. Revoke, and syntax is also there, ignore that one. Revoke all on my object is, for example, database dot star from my username Razu at the rate localhost. So what happened? It removes all the permissions under this database. All the permissions under this database. I think you clear. Instead of database, if you can give table name. If you want, you can give column name. So instead of all, you can give select. You can write update. You can write insert. So whatever the way we are using for insertion, that is granting, instead of grant we are using say removal. Instead of grant we are using say removal. I think everyone is clear with the syntax, and I will show you. First create. First I will create the user. Anyway, I think in the last session I dropped the user. Okay, we will check. Create user. What is the syntax? User name local host. Create user username. Now identified by, think you remember, password. Suppose welcome at the rate 99. Now one user is created. One user is created. Okay. Now what you are doing? You are assigning some granting permissions to the user. How do you write that one? Grant. By using the command, first I am writing grant, followed by what are the permissions you are given. Suppose here I am given on all on. Here you can write star dot star. Anyway, star dot star no need to write. Why? Even though you are not assigning, not using grant, once the user is created, by default all the permissions are assigned. Now what I am doing? Grant all on. If you want, you can give permissions with some database. For example, my database is college dot star 2. What is the username? No, okay. So here, this particular user Razu one have access all the access permissions on the college database. Meaning is, suppose the college database consists of some 5 tables. He has the authority. He has all the privileges on the 5 tables. He has all the privileges on the 5 tables. Suppose if you want, you have show command is there. Show grant. What are the granting permissions you assigned? So for the particular user, what are the things you assigned? So I think right now you already know. For example, that one Razu rate local host. Now check the manual syntax. Show grant for the user. So this is used for displaying all the commands grants. Oh, spelling mistake only. Okay. Now see, by default star dot star available. Grant all privileges on college dot star. Anyway, my granting is completed. This is the thing happened in the last section. Now what is my aim? After usage, here I am doing some all the operations. Right now the user is not required for me. Where these are useful, I think, understand the scenario. You are doing a project. While you are doing a project, suppose I am doing some project. At some particular point of time, company database is available. So if the user in the sense I am, for example, the administrator, DBA, database administrator, don't give the entire has the privileges to. So assign only that particular privileges. I think you got it. This is the very important available. Only DBA is allowed to use that entire database. For example, project 1 is limited to use this part of data. Project 2 is limited to use this part of data. Given permission for accessing the. Now I think everyone understand. So the use of grant. So here grant all on data or entire MySQL depending upon here the user get the permission. Once the project is completed, the user is not at all required. This is also important. For example, if the person leave from the company, even though the user he has the permissions, once that is the reason, once his task is completed on the database, you must should use revoke, revoke all, revoke all. So here observe all, same syntax I am using on college dot star, college dot star from. Here observe, at the time of granting I am granting, revoking the permissions from the user, revoking the permissions from the user. Now okay, now see, I am revoking the permissions from the user. Now show grants removed or not, show grants removed or not. Yes. So everyone see this one. Any doubts under this one? In what way I given the permissions? I retrieve the permissions exactly in the same way. I retrieve the permissions exactly in the same way. That is grant and revoke. Grant and revoke. Suppose grant, grant. If you want to, I already removed. Again, to explain revoke, one more example. For example, update, insert, suppose select. Instead of given all, I used some commands only just for practicing purpose. Instead of all the permissions, I given grant, update, some insert, select on under the college database dot star to the same user. Now what I am doing, what I am doing here, I am granting the permissions to the particular user in the college database for update operation, operation, insert operation and select operations. Now show grants for that user. Now see this one, he has the grant. Means what is your task right now, I am doing not doing. What is your task? Under the college database you have any table other than this, in this particular user try to modify. So it is not allowed to perform other operations other than this. So that practice you need to do. Here I am explaining how to grant and revoke again. So granting is completed. If you want revoke, same permission, revoke, update, select, insert, insert on college dot star from. Okay, so how I am inserting, that is how I am granting. In a similar fashion, I am retrieving the information from the user. In what way I am inserting, that is assigning. Suppose I will complete it. Only that is the point. I'm going to the next one. So everyone must and should concentrate on this creation of a user and dropping of the user. Dropping of the user, how to given the permission to the particular user and how to revoke the permission from the user. So grant and revoke are completed. grant and review are completed. Now I used one term, save point. I think you remember that term where I explain all these terms, not explanation. I given all these term names in the first or second session. I give DDL command, DML command, that is DDL data definition. In that we have create command, alter command, drop command, and DML data manipulation. There we have insert command, update command, delete command, and then DQL data query language. There we have select command, and after that this data transaction there, grant and revoke along with commit to save point, roll back. Yes or no? Anyway, we will discuss each and everything. What is mean by save point? Simple. Assume this is a complete transaction. Assume this is the starting of the transaction, this is the ending of the transaction. Suppose that is the transaction is very large. For example, it takes some 10 minutes of time. Just to our understanding purpose, I will explain. Assume a transaction takes, transaction in the sense not only just to click message, a transaction operation takes some 10 minutes of time. For example, 7 minutes task is completed. What's the power failure? What happened? Whatever that 70% I done, I lost that thing. Again, I need to start from the beginning, or else you are filling some application forms in online. You are filling some application forms, or else simple you are filing some your tax, income tax. So within a single day, it is not required to fill in the form. For example, today I have filling only the first two options, and you have some save option. Whenever you are open in the future, wherever you left, from there you can start. Save point. I think you understand. Each and every time, instead of starting from the beginning, you can start from the point where you left off. Where you left off. But remember, not from where you left, from where you given the save point, from that. For example, within this 10 minutes, here, for example, after 5 minutes, I given some save point. At 7 minutes, I have some power loss. Whenever power came, from where I started? Not from 7. I started from this 5. This is my save point time. This is my save point time. Clear? Clear? So I save point. Simple. The command is save point. Command is also named as save point followed by any name. Save point followed by any name. Okay. Okay. Suppose I power failure, whatever happened, again you move back to previous position. Yes or no? Once grant is there, compulsory revoke is there. Once save, automatically rollback is also there. What is the purpose of rollback? Rollback, that is moving back to the save point position. Roll back to save point and the name of the save point. Roll back the save point. Whatever the changes you are performing, all the changes. Okay, first point. So what is the first thing? How do create a save point? For example, I create a save point at this time, and after this I am doing some. Suppose my operations are wrong after that point. Again, if you want to move back to the previous, by using roll back to the previous save point. Now my task is completed. Right now I does not require any point also. I does not require any save point also. That means you can release the save point. Release save point and the name. So the releasing save point means once you are doing the release save point means rollback operation is not performed. It is Okay, clear? When you are doing rollback, if you have save point only, it is possible to get rollback. If you have no save point, no rollback. I think everyone is clear with these three commands. So first one is save point, second one is rollback, third one is release. This is a pair. This is a pair. Whenever you are, anyway, I will explain with an example. Whenever I created a save point, that particular point is saved. If I am using rollback operation, I am moving to that save point only. Save point I saved, that point is removed. That point is removed. Clear? Now, where all these are used in transaction. All these are used in transaction. Only one task. For example, debit amount from my account and credit the amount to your account. This is one transaction. This is one transaction. Clear? That is transaction. So I think now you get the point. For example, whenever I am debit, I am using some save point at the time of uh, credit. If power failure, I can roll back to the previous operation from where the debit occurred. Clear? No transaction. So TCL commands transaction control language like DDL, DML, DQL, TCL commands transaction control language or commands are also there. What is the first step? If you want to do all these things, the first step is to start the transaction. To start the transaction. For starting the transaction, we are using the command begin. We are using the command begin, or you can use start. Anyway, both are eligible. You can use either begin transaction or start transaction. That means, what is the meaning? Whenever this happened, one transaction is beginning. Now start transaction. See, transaction is just to started. Just to started. Now, first what you are doing before doing any operation, first we are initialize the transaction with some save points. We initialize the transaction with some save point. Suppose save point, we can give some name, save point SP1, whatever the name, just for understanding. SP1, SP2, SP3, if I am given like this, it is easy to understand. Now observe what happened. Just I started the transaction, immediately I created one save point. I created one save point at the time of initiation. Now what is your task? For example, if you want to do some operation, some any table is there, have any table is there, within the table, if you want to do some operation, you can do the operation. Okay. Now what are the tables I have? For example, yes or no? So tables. Okay. Use college, start transaction, save point. Yes, now I am doing entire thing in my college database. Now what are the tables I have? So some student table is also there. Desk, some student. Okay, some student ID, student name, age, everything is there. Now I am doing some insert operation. Insert into student values of. So give some values, student ID, suppose 45. What are the values I given? I don't know. That is the reason. 45. Suppose student name and student age is integer. Student city. Now one row is inserted successfully. Now first I will check what are the rows available. Select to star from student. Okay, only two records are there. In my student database, I have two records are there. Again, I will repeat, understand what is my task. First, I started the transaction. First, I started the transaction. Immediately, I created one save point. Immediately, I created one save point. After that, I am doing some insertion operation. Select is just for display purpose. I am doing some insertion operation. Now what I am doing? Suppose I am doing one more save point. Save point SP2. Save point SP2. Where this occurred? After insertion only. After insertion only, that save point is occurred. Okay. Now what I am doing? Suppose I am doing some update operation. For your understanding, I used insert and update. For example, update my table name is student set s name is equal to set name is equal to naga where some id is equal to 45, not id, sid. Update student, update student set s name is equal to naga where id is equal to 45. Now select star from student. So the name Vikas is changed into Naga. The name Vikas is changed to Naga. Right now, what you are doing? You are not doing anything. Now I am doing save point SP3. Now what happened? So till now I created three save points. The first save point is after initialization. Second save point is after insertion operation, after update operation, like this. Suppose if you want to do one more save point, again create one more save point. For example, to explain all things, delete from student where sid is equal to 1. Now select star from student. Okay, so after deletion I created one save point. Suppose save point name is sp4. Save point name is sp4. Right now anyone have doubts? So after doing each operation, I created the save point. That means each and every operation I saved. Now your task is roll back. Your task is roll back. Roll back to my save point name. What are the save points after deletion? So just for understanding, I written here after transaction I given sp1, after insertion sp3, after deletion I given sp4. Now roll back to anything. For example, roll back to some sp3. I am moving into some update operation. I am moving into some update operation. Press enter. What happened? Select star from student. How many records are there? Two records. Even though I am doing delete operation. Now understand, everyone understand carefully. So I am roll back to save point 3. That means after save point 3, whatever all the operations are undone, whatever the all the operations we lost, all the operations. Check this one, sir. After here, after update, I return sp3. After after deletion, I say sp3. I roll back sp3 means whatever the things you are doing, all the things are undone. Whatever the things you are doing, all the things are undone. Now everyone see this one. 1 minute. If you have any doubt, ask me related to the save points. 1 minute, I will stay tuned. Understand what happened. So I saved at multiple points. I am roll back into some particular save points. Roll back to some particular save points. Clear. I think it is clear. So for all the things like this you are doing, not only for this, you are doing for all the things. Now, now what happened? Save point sp3 does not exist. Why? I will explain. See, sp4, it is also not existed, but it is available or not. Remember, commit. Once you are entering commit command, whatever you typed, that though all those are saved. It is not possible to roll back. It is not possible to roll back. I think you clear got my point. Commit means that transaction is committed. If you given committed in the sense, it is not possible to change. It is not possible to change. Now, any doubts, please, related to save point and related to save point. Where is here? Like this, not only you create save point and roll back. Sir, I want to release. Anyway, here I used the commit. It is not possible to release. Why? Because save point is automatically removed. Suppose before committing, if you want, you can check like this. Release, save point name. See, release, save point name. You can do like this also. One second. Okay, clear now. Anyway, this grant to revoke, save point, and rollback, release, commit. All these are completed. Now the next topic is acid property. Acid property in the sense atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Isolation and durability. That is called acid property. So, what is mean by atomicity? So, I will explain the terms. Understand? Atomicity means simply it is called all or none property. It is called all or none property. What is mean by all or none property? Suppose you are doing one transaction, the transaction is successful, or else you suppose if you have some power failure or any issues occur at the middle of transaction, roll back to starting state, roll back to the starting state. Atomic unit, that means it is considered as a single transaction. That means all the operations in the transactions must be completed, or no operation is completed. Sir, how to check this one? This is your practice. I will explain one thing. How do you do? For example, start the transaction. Now, like same previous one, insert one record into the student table. For example, update some record, do some insertion operation, do some update operation. In case the operation fails, simply you are writing rollback. Directly you can give the rollback. Means roll back to beginning. Roll back to beginning. Suppose if all the transactions operations are successful, then you use commit. So practice this one. Again, I will explain. In the transaction, insert some record into the table. For example, do some update operation. After update operation, if any transaction, suppose if the operation fails, suppose you are doing some updation, assume that means operation fails in a sense by mistake I given wrong information. Suppose instead of transferring or instead of updating record 1, I update record 2. You are doing all those operations are undone. Or else if the operation is successful, then you give commit. So commit all, roll back in the sense none. Why? Here I am not given any save property is called atomicity, consistency. The name consistent maintenance. So, for example, we are doing a transaction. If you are doing a transaction, okay, consider the database changes from one valid state into another valid state, one valid state into another valid state. This consistency. In a simple example, for example, user A and user B, here you have 1,000 rupees, here you have also 1,000 rupees. So in the database, that is my table, I total 2,000 rupees before the transaction. After the transaction, for example, 500 and 1,500. Now, my table, the total amount is 2,000. Consistency. I think you got the meaning of this one. Okay. Any data that you return in a database must be valid by following the rules. So, once you understand some DBMS concepts, so DBMS concepts, serialization, concurrency control, then you will definitely understand the meaning of this consistency. Sir, how do you check consistency? In a similar fashion, for example, begin one transaction, begin one transaction. For example, the student data is have some column balance. Is any negative amount is available or not? And insert some negative balance. Insert the data. While inserting, I am given some negative value. Simply roll back. So assume that means the negative values are not allowed. Means negative values are not allowed. That is consistent maintenance. Isolation. The name specify isolated, only one thing, only one thing. That means transaction 1, transaction 2. Two transactions are available. Suppose if two transactions are executing concurrently, concurrently in the sense parallelly at the same time. Okay, that mean that situation, in that situation, the parallel executed, that is The concurrent transactions are executed independently. That means one transaction does not depends on another transaction. Suppose if one thing depends on another thing, the values may be changed. Suppose if the two transactions wants to use the common data, if transaction one changes the data, it will affect transaction two also. That is the reason, even though multiple transactions executed concurrently, they are executing independently without any interference. So that is isolation. And that is isolation. Sir, how do you check isolation? In that, we are setting the transaction like this. Set followed by transaction space isolation level. We have, this is the syntax for setting isolation. For atomicity and consistency, no need to check. By checking the values only you can give. For setting the isolation, different levels are there. What are the different levels? Read uncommitted. Read uncommitted means that transactions can change made by any other uncommitted transactions. We have read committed. Anyone can change the transaction. Repeatable read is there. Any number of times a user can see. Serializable is there. That means after completion of one transaction, another transaction is only done. For example, set transaction isolation level. Here you are reading anything. For example, read uncommitted or repeatable read or read committed serializable. After same thing, begin the transaction, select to query, write some select to query. After that, suppose other transaction update, check what happens. We are selecting the query, other transaction update, what happened, see the table result, then only you will get the answer. And the last thing is durability is committed. Once the transaction is committed means whatever the changes you are done, all those are permanent. So it is not possible to move back. That is durability means committed transferred permanently. That is the reason generally what you are doing, suppose after doing some insertion operation or update operation, simply we are hitting commit. Automatically all the transactions are committed. It is durability. These are the properties while using transactions. Clear? These are acid properties. Okay. Save point, rollback, release, commit, acid properties. So in the next session we will move to some more new topic. Any doubts? 90% commands are same. Okay, 90%, not exactly. So some commands are not, names is same. SQL in the sense, remember, is different to MySQL. So your question is MySQL and Oracle, MySQL and Postgre. Those are the related one. Okay, fine. Okay, that is the end of today's session. In the next session, we will move to new topic. Okay, thank you everyone.